Hey, we have a new jingle.
What?
You know the ride is falling and the guys are calling and we've got to get on with Swing Left.
Yeah.
What? It's Steve Pierson from Swing Left.
Do we have a jingle now?
You
have a jingle.
You are family, Steve.
Oh, that is so lovely. So now I feel better because you have me following Pat Robertson, which really,
Yeah.
really bummed me out. But
Aw.
then you gave us a jingle, so all is forgiven.
You're the opening act for the Rapture. and you're killed.
Yes.
Get it?
Oh,
Everybody does.
yeah.
Okay. Steve, hi. Welcome, our sexy liberal partners. This is this, by the way, we might not make it to the Rapture because this sexy liberal show may kill us. This has been so much work, but everybody in the world is in the big pre-election extravaganza. But more importantly, we have partnered with you guys because your work is so important. Because a lot of us, Steve, feel like, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm in California, or oh, it doesn't matter, But you laser focus on the swing states in the last weekends. Just tell us about what you're doing, because you have the great podcast, Swing Left, How We Win. But tell us about the other work you're doing.
Yeah, well, I mean, as Ted Lieu said earlier, who is awesome, and Malcolm Nance. Yes, I listened to your show.
That's why I made you a jingle.
I'm not just pandering. We need a huge tsunami. Like, we know all of the repression to avoid the end times and all of that. Everyone has to show up to the polls. We're already seeing great turnout, but it doesn't just happen if we vote. We all need to volunteer.
Yeah.
And so we're focused on key states that some of them are a perennial swing state, like hello, Florida is super important. A lot of these states have important Senate races.
Yeah.
Right. We got to get that gavel out of Mitch McConnell's hand. But right now, what Swing Left does, we have our phone banking hub, swingleft.org/phone bank. And we have priority phone banks up there that change depending on what the campaign's needs are, where volunteer energy is really needed. So it takes the guesswork out of somebody who wants to step up and volunteer, which is, by the way, everyone listening to this show right now wants to step up and volunteer.
Steve, that's why what you guys do is so important, because you're right. A lot of us sort of have good intentions, like, oh, I want to help, but they don't know how.
Exactly.
Like, what do I do? How do I do it? Because a lot of us, we're like dead weight out here in California. Like,
You're not. No, we're not. I'm in California too. We're not dead weight. We are the people power. We are the people who can step up and make a huge impact on this election.
But Steve, I always feel bad. This time it took me 4 seconds to vote. I did a drop box less than a mile from my house. I already got my ballot tracks that it's been received and accepted. But
Nice.
As you see all these voter suppression techniques, particularly in the swing states, in the battlegrounds, right, that you guys work in, and you realize like they need help because we're up against a massive voter suppression and all kinds of rat effery, right? And so that's the other thing is like, we know we're going to win California. We're in California. We know our vote's going to be counted. It's in California. We know we're going to be able to vote easily. But I mean, the biggest form of voter suppression, and it's so obvious this time, right? The mail slowdowns are in swing states and Democratic areas. The long lines are in Democratic area. Laser focused on suppressing the black and brown vote, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so we're aware of that, and I'm sure most of your listeners who are tuned in are aware of all of the I was going to say something bad. I'll just say tomfoolery going on.
Right.
But most citizens aren't. So how do we get that message to them? How do we fight voter suppression? We call them. We talk to voters. We reach out and have those conversations. Right. And so that's why phone banking, it's always been important in elections, right? It's always an important part of winning elections. This year, it is essential because it's the safe way we have to reach out and talk to voters.
Steve, I heard something, I can't remember exactly where, but it's so great yesterday, and I'm sure you guys do this in phone banking. And this is the whole thing we're up against, with Trump voters the first time. People don't like to be told they were wrong, right? We all know this in our family or friends, loved ones. People don't want to be shamed or told they were wrong or they're stupid. They were talking about this. It was one particular person that did a phone bank. I don't know if it was a door knock in person, but just kind of said to the person, "How you doing?" And the person was like, "Yeah, I'm okay. I'm good. Everything's good." And then like the other person at the house said, "We're not okay. We're not okay." And then the person said, "Tell me about it." You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if you can start that conversation as a person, because we were just saying off air here, Steve, we're like, how is anybody going, well, it's about 250, where are we at? You know, 1,000 of us
222,
dead.
yeah.
Millions and millions of us out of work, the worst jobs record in our history. Who is going, things are really good. Yeah, things are good. I haven't left my house since March. Things, my kids can't go to school. But you know, you're right. There are still those people that you have to go, how are you doing? Is it tough?
Yeah.
Tell me why it's tough. Okay, let me explain to you why I think Joe Biden and Kamala Harris can fix that.
Yeah. So we always are considering the moment we're in when we're making phone calls, because we're in the middle of a global pandemic and it affects us all and in different ways. So there is usually that wellness check at the beginning, just like, how are you doing during this uncertain time? And that's a really wonderful way to connect with somebody on a personal level. I will say, at this stage in the campaign, we're not really trying to convince people to vote for Joe Biden. We're calling likely supporters and helping them make a plan to vote, making sure that they know where to vote. And in so many of these states, the ways to vote have changed. They're getting votes by mail that they weren't getting before. Their polling places may have changed. They may have drop boxes. We want to encourage early vote. So it's not like a transactional call. It's certainly not an argument that you get in with somebody trying to convince them to do something. You're just giving them information. You're giving them like the most important information they could have right now.
Yeah.
I literally, I know I'm a company guy with Swing Left, but I seriously could literally not think of a better way to spend your time right now than having these conversations with voters.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people, on the good side, it's not just, and again, the long lines, you go, I admire those patriots, and yet it makes me furious that is voter suppression, that anyone has to wait in line 6, 7, 8, not up to 12 hours. Some people are waiting in line. But
and as you said, it's not usually white people.
Yeah.
Right. But as you said, casting our ballots for Biden Harris and voting with our daughter for the first time, there's so many people saying that felt so good. I mean, I promise you, when you do it, it feels so good. I did it immediately. Like the day after I got my ballot, it was in that drop box. I couldn't wait, and you just have to. And you're right. It's just maybe there's that positive way of, this may be, most of us, Steve, we don't get to do anything really important in our lives. This might be the most important thing any of us do in our lives, is this election, is this line in the sand for our democracy.
We're living through a time in history that's very scary and very uncertain, but we are writing this final chapter together. We are the power. We are the people power. We are the majority. And you mentioned casting my vote with my daughter, who just turned 18. That was incredibly moving and meaningful, because it was also a repudiation of Trump and the GOP and everything that's been going on for the last 4 years. I was very excited to cast my vote for the first female president 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And this felt different in a way that I'm kind of ashamed of. It felt even more important because of the course that our history has taken. But we're part of it. We're part of riding the ship, and we can do this. We can do it together. I'm very encouraged by all the volunteers who are stepping up. We're having massive engagement with phone banks and virtual events. And as you said earlier,
all the young people working polls, because they're older people are health compromised. The young people are stepping up. They're better with computers. They're faster. They're going okay.
I'm so excited about the young vote. I think that we're going to have a historic turnout with young voters.
That's what David Hogg, the Parkland kid, said on Twitter. We're going to have the largest. They're probably sick of people yelling at them like, "Oh, you never vote, you don't turn out," and they're like, "Okay, watch us this time." I mean, it really is inspiring and as you tweeted too, let's be clear, Donald Trump encouraging uncertified poll watchers isn't about protecting the vote. It's about intimidating and disenfranchising voters. Voters need to know all their options to vote safely. That's the other thing we would say, right, is do not be bullied. Do not be intimidated. Record people on your phone that are trying to intimidate you or stop you from voting, right? I have this sense, Steve, that people will not be deterred this time, right?
It feels like that. It really feels like that. And again, almost 40 million people already voted, about a third of who voted in 2016, 2 weeks, just shy of 2 weeks before the actual E-Day. That's incredible. That's really encouraging. But, foot on the gas. We can't let up. We've
Yep.
got to get everyone out to vote. It's not enough to vote. You got to volunteer. You got to bring 3 friends to the polls with you. This is our moment in history, and we can do this together.
Are you ready for Camelot? Hit it.
Traveling the country as I've been in these last many, many months, I'm seeing that in the American people right now. I'm seeing people willing to suit up. I mean, it's those people standing in lines right now, waiting to vote in the rain, waiting to vote in spite of state legislatures or state officials who are making it difficult for people to vote or trying to make it confusing for people to vote. But folks are suiting up in our country.
Yep. Suiting up, get in formation. Get it. Yeah. Let's swing left. Steve, tell us where to go. Tell us where to go, what to do. Are we still doing last weekends, or where should people go to help?
You can go there, but swingleft.org is the great place to go. If you want to jump in with the phone bank, go to swingleft.org/phone bank. That couldn't be simpler.
Okay.
And just do it. Just jump in. Phone banking might sound scary, but it's a little cold when you dip into that water, but you get used to it, and it helps save our democracy.
There you go. And buy a ticket to Sexy Liberal virtual tour. Our proud partners, Swing Left. SexyLiberal.com tour session. The show is this Saturday, the 24th. It is all for one cause.
And how do we listen to your podcast, Steve?
Oh, anywhere you find podcasts, you can find Swing Left, How We Win. And this morning, we have an interview with Michael Moore, who is
fantastic,
always fun.
Fantastic. Yes. All right, Steve, thanks so much. Don't forget to swing left. That was a Jeffrey Toobin joke. Don't swing left while we're on Zoom. Don't do that. All right.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I'll put my pants back on.
Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Steve.
40.